Micro motor madness. Scale down, drive big.
Part 1. Blue Smasher Body Ford F-150, Build Overview and Finished Product Retrospective. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we have an exciting build to showcase. A custom 1/24th scale RC crawler, featuring the iconic Ford F-150 body from the FMS FCX24 series. This model of the Ford F-150 takes inspiration from the original trucks produced between 1978 and 1979. The full-sized Ford F-150 was part of the 6th generation of the F-Series and became a popular choice for both work and off-road use. Its robust design, wide stance, and high ground clearance made it a standout vehicle in its time. And we've brought a bit of that off-road spirit to this miniature crawler. In this build, we've focused on performance, especially improving the vehicle's crawling ability with a long wheelbase of 140 millimeters, just slightly more than the 139 millimeters of the FMS Smasher body. Coupling that with a low center of gravity gives this RC truck incredible stability over rugged terrain, making it perfect for crawling. We're proud to present our custom 1/24th scale RC crawler built from scratch. The real Ford F-150 of this era was a workhorse that helped define a generation of off-road vehicles. It was known for its durability, strength, and unmistakable style, which we've tried to capture in this scale build. This build is more than just a tribute. It boasts impressive crawling performance, thanks to a long wheelbase and an incredibly low center of gravity. Let's dive into the details of how this beast came together. Part 2 of the video, the unboxing of the body and the breakdown of the parts used. First, let's take a look at the body, the blue Ford F-150 from FMS. I grabbed this body during a special live stream event on Fair RC YouTube channel, where it was offered at a promotional price of just $9.99. That's a steal of a deal for such a detailed and iconic piece. Emax steering servo motor for a price of $4.99 from AliExpress. Next, I chose 58.5mm Injora suspension links. These links were purchased individually from Injora's website for a total of $24.35, including the steering link. To complement these links, I installed 2 steel drive shafts, also from Injora. These drive shafts are designed for the rear of Axial C10 and Bronco models, priced at $6.99 each. Next up, we have the Team Raffee skid plate, purchased from AsiaTees for $5.94. The heart of the electronics in this build is the FMS Skyfly ESC R4A3V5, which I purchased from AliExpress for $16.99. The entire build sits on a low center of gravity carbon fiber chassis kit from Injora. This chassis, with its 6-degree angled frame, cost $17.99. Team Raffee brass front steering knuckles, priced at $6.79. To power this build, I used an aluminum complete transmission gearbox from Injora, priced at $22.99. I have this Warrios gearbox in my hand. I have trouble pronouncing the name of this brand, and I think they skipped the marketing course. That said, this gearbox allows the installation of 180 engines, thanks to the wider mounting plate. I have already installed this gearbox on the build of the Galant Body Jeep Wrangler and on the build of the Muse Bronco kit. It works well. The car loses a little of its slow crawl, but gains a lot in speed, but the engine is a little noisy. I will not install it on this build because I do not have much space under the body. Part 3, Chassis and Suspension Assembly. Let's start this build by the assembly of the chassis. This chassis, with its 6-degree angled frame, significantly improves the crawler's handling by keeping the weight low, which is essential when navigating steep inclines or uneven surfaces. I have used it on several of my builds and find it to be really solid and allows the car to sit very low. The Team Raffee skid plate offers essential protection to the undercarriage, preventing damage from rocks and debris when you're tackling tough trails. And more sincerely, they are bargain for an aluminum one, with nice silver gray finish. They are at least better looking and stronger than the plastic stock ones. As you can see, the gray looks good on this carbon chassis. The chassis rails are accompanied by several parts: plates for holding the battery and ESC and cross pieces to re-rig the chassis, and of course, the screws necessary for assembly. The plates are of different sizes and can be installed in different places. This chassis is versatile and adapts to your design and allows you to place the electronic components as you wish. These aftermarket parts from Injora are designed specifically to fit axial SCX24 stock parts, making the build straightforward, though some creativity is needed to ensure everything fits perfectly. The battery support plate is supposed to be mounted at the rear of the vehicle, at least according to the chassis photos on the Injora website. However, I decided to mount it at the front to give it a double purpose. Being the widest plate of the whole, I decided that it will carry the battery and the ESC at the front of the vehicle to lighten the crawler as much as possible at the rear. This is why the gearbox cover hits the plate. It's not too bad because it's only 2 millimeters, and the carbon fiber files cleanly and easily. Be careful not to inhale the powder when you file. Even if we buy a ready-to-assemble kit, there are always modifications or adaptations to be made depending on the ideas we develop during our custom builds. The drive shafts are sold individually. They are made in hardened steel. They propose all SCX24 front and rear drive shafts length, allowing to customize the wheelbase. These drive shafts are designed for the rear of Axial C10 and Bronco models. They match the suspension link length perfectly, ensuring smooth drivetrain operation and robust torque transfer for challenging terrain. This gearbox has an aluminum case with hardened steel for increased wear resistance and improved fatigue life. The pinion gear is 11-teeth nylon. The spur gear is 0.3 mod 55 teeth. The transmission gear set is 51 by 19 teeth, and the weight of the gearbox is 16 grams. These links are sail by pair of lower or upper suspension links. They are made in stainless steel and offer a good durability with affordable price. They propose a variety of lengths, allowing to customize the wheelbase. They are high clearance, eliminating axle wrap and unwanted axle steer. The rod ends are plastic and the pivot balls are brass. They come in separate pieces and need to be assembled. The rod ends need to be cleaned by cutting off the excess plastic at the ends. This is important so that the links are aimed at the same length and to avoid any friction. The FCX24 Smasher has a stock wheelbase of 139 millimeters. To get as close as possible to this width using parts from the Axial CX24, I found that using the identical rear suspension links of the C10 at the front and rear was the only way to achieve a width of 140 millimeters. This configuration has the disadvantage of placing the center of gravity of the crawler in the middle of the chassis. The ideal would have been for it to be placed more towards the front. However, being a pickup truck, the heaviest part of the vehicle is at the front, not to mention that we have placed the electronics and the battery at the front, which suggests that the car will be able to tackle slopes with a significant tilt angle. These Injora links are high clearance ones, and they will allow a significant crossing capacity and performance during crawling. Part 4. Preparation of the ESC and battery installation. Now we're moving on to the electronics setup. This ESC is similar to the one found in the FMS FCX18 model and offers smooth throttle control and power delivery. It's perfect for providing the precision needed in a crawler. To save space, I have to take the ESC out of its case. It's easy. Just press on the cover's retaining hook to dislodge it from its location. The shock absorbers currently installed on the vehicle are not final. I mounted them while waiting to receive the oil-filled ones. Those ones are the double barrel from Injora, and I don't like their behavior, and I think they are not suitable for this build. To take the ESC out of its case, you have to move it gradually from the four corners of the case to dislodge it. The ESC out of its case is now at the mercy of the elements. To protect it from humidity and dust, whether you're crawling in wet environments or splashing through puddles during outdoor crawling sessions, the FMS Skyfly ESC needs to be waterproofed, so I applied a layer of sealing silicone to seal it and to protect it from moisture. This step is crucial for long-term reliability. I have this waterproof silicone for electronic circuits that I bought from AliExpress. It doesn't cost much, and it's always good to have it on hand. I proceed by applying a layer on one side. Then I let it dry for about 1 hour. I apply a second layer on the other side, letting it dry before installing it on the vehicle. Avoid putting it inside the electrical connections. When it dries, it does not harden. It remains flexible, and you can always cut off the parts that stick out. I installed the battery toward the front of the crawler. This position helps lower the center of gravity even further, giving the truck better balance on steep inclines and uneven surfaces. The location and attachment points of the battery are provided on the larger plate that we installed at the front. Openings for the passage of the battery holding Velcro are provided on all sides, thus adapting to the size of the battery of your choice. The LiPo holding Velcro is provided in the kit and is exactly the same as that supplied on stock axial SCX24. For more stability, I always use another double-sided self-adhesive Velcro to fix the battery to its support. These Emax steering servo motors, I bought them on AliExpress in a set of 4 for $25 shipping included. However, I think they are fake because they are not of good quality. The servo control burns when the servo is jostled a little. At this price, normal, you would say. In any case, I am looking for another alternative, but of course still cheap. The tires currently mounted on the F-150 are the DJ Crawler with a height of 50 millimeters and a width of 25 millimeters. They are of good quality, but I find them a little too wide for this vehicle. I reserve them for another build, and more precisely that of the body of the Mini Z Mercedes G-Class, whose wheelbase is 120 millimeters, but a fairly massive body to which these tires would suit well. Part 5 of the build. Recap of the work done off camera. The body is connected to the chassis by magnets that make it easy to open and close the car with quick access to the electronic components. There's a lot going on under the skirt of this crawler. It's electrifying. The bumpers of the car are attached to the same support that serves as a clipless latch system fastener that snaps over the lower portion of the chassis of the body of the FMS FCX models to the chassis. I don't need these latches, but I need the bumper fixing point. That's why I did cut the latch and fix the front bumper using spacers and long M2 screws, with the grille in the same position. For the rear bumper, it was simpler. A direct cut of the latch with cutter was enough. It would have been useless to me to keep them, and would have interfered with the chassis and the steering servo at the front. The front lights, the turn signals that I converted into position lights, and The roll bar light are electrically connected to the magnets. As you can see, there are 6 magnets. The roll bar light are connected to 2, the positive for one and negative for the other. The position lights are connected to the other 2. The 2 bigger ones are for the headlights. For the taillights, we just did the same. We used 2 magnets for the lights and for holding the body at the rear. The rear lights act as tail lights and brake lights. Be careful when soldering the electrical cables to the magnets. Excess heat demagnetizes them. So, I advise to be precise and to make a small spot of soldering at the edge of the magnet. I installed the rear magnets on the bumper mount of a CR24, also using plastic spacers for height. These threaded spacers are always very useful to me, and I buy them in kits of several lengths on AliExpress. For the front, I use the magnetic body mount from Injora, designed specifically for this chassis kit. It must be mounted at the location of the carbon plate, intended to receive the Velcro for fixing the body, but I arranged to install both at the same level. I'm taking out the battery to show you where the ESC is. It's really tight and condensed around here. Now you understand why I took it out of its case. It is well tightened underneath, apart from the motor socket, which is accessible. The rest of the connections can only be waited for by dismantling the carbon plate. Fortunately, it is easy to dislodge. Also, I discovered that these carbon plates were conductive of the electric current, which short-circuited my lighting. That is why I insulated it in a heat-shrinkable sheath. I filed the carbon sheet at the front to make an opening for the passage of the cables, soldered to the magnets for the connection in the ESC. And then I glued the on-off switch to the back. The oil-filled shocks arrived and installed. They are the 39mm Injora in an anodized blue to match the body color. I also installed the brass knuckles, weighing 12 grams each, and an aluminum diff cover that was lying around the workshop at front for better weight distribution and durability. We didn't film the axles assembly, as these are generic plastic axles I bought from AliExpress, both of them for $29.99. They come complete with the steering link, CVDs, and diff gearing. While they're not aftermarket, I modified them by adding brass knuckles, aluminum front diff cover, and Injora steering link to match the suspension links. These are the tires that replaced the DJ crawler originally fitted. These are the MaxGrappler Boomracing brand tires, with a height of 48.5 millimeters and a width of 19 millimeters. They're mounted on 1-inch rims from Injora, with no offset, mounted with 12-gram brass internal ring, making them the perfect fit for the narrow Ford F-150 Smasher body. These tires give the truck extra grip on rocky surfaces, making it an ideal choice for crawling. Complete transmission gearbox. It's paired with a 50 motor that I salvaged from a disassembled RGT Adventurer, providing plenty of torque to keep the crawler moving over obstacles. I connected the steering link to an Emax servo, which is a reliable, budget-friendly option for a crawler of this size. Above the servo, I glued Boomracing weights designed to make the 1/10 wheels heavier. Each of them weighs 6.5 grams. The total cost of the parts listed in part 2 of the video is exactly $100. I subtracted the price of the ESC for $16.99 because not everyone has the transmitter that goes with it. So we will include the price of the combo in the cost of parts installed off camera. So we add to the $100, $6.99 for the motor, $4.99 for the 450 mAh 2S LiPo battery, and finally $29.99 for the FMS ESC and transmitter combo that you can buy on the Fair RC website. The final cost of this build is $151.99. This cost does not include the various elements such as shipping cost, magnets, LEDs for lighting, Boomracing weights, and labor. However, and at the same price as an unbalanced, plasticky, and anemic stock, Axial SCX24, you can build your own unique crawler from scratch with only performance aftermarket parts. I always bring up the cost in the search for cheap parts because I am like you. I buy my own parts and I am starting to have a large collection of custom crawlers. So for me, the price is essential. and I am looking for optimal performance for maximum scale builds. At the time of publication of this video, my channel has 120 subscribers. You can imagine that the brands are not rushing to send me their products to test or promote. But believe me, to have fun and succeed in making incredible and efficient builds, you don't need a $150 electronic setup, a pair of axles at $100, or a servo motor at $90. Sure, they may look good and perform well, but the difference in handling is not much more significant than cheap performance parts. Last but not least, part 6 of the video, the test drive. First of all, thanks for joining me on this 1/24th scale RC crawler build. With its custom configuration, performance upgrades, and iconic Max Smasher body, this crawler is ready for any challenge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more RC builds and tutorials. And stay tuned for the upcoming video, where we'll go in depth on the lighting system, and we will do further work to improve the appearance for this rig with more scale accessories and body details. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. We've set up a realistic test course with rocks, dirt, and inclines to really challenge this custom crawler. Let us introduce you to our interpretation of the legendary 1978 to 1979 Ford F-150, a true icon of American strength, built to conquer the road and the toughest challenges you can throw at it. This truck is built for those who demanded more. Its strong torque and sturdy frame made it a favorite for tackling any terrain with ease. With its bold stance, durable construction, and unmistakable design, our 1978 to 1979 Ford F-150 is the ultimate crawling horse. We built it with the same philosophy of the Ford's 6th generation of the F-Series trucks. He's a symbol of reliability, power, and performance. As a reminder, here are some historical facts for car lovers. 1. Best-selling truck. The F-150 models of 1978 and 1979 were part of Ford's 6th generation of F-Series trucks, which helped solidify its position as America's best-selling truck, a title it has held since 1977 too. Engine options. The 1978 to 1979. Ford F-150 came with several engine options, including the popular 300 cubic inch inline-six, a 351 cubic inch V8, and the more powerful 400 cubic inch V8, making it versatile for work and personal use. 3. Durability. These trucks were known for their heavy-duty durability, featuring strong suspension systems and reinforced frames, making them capable of handling rough terrain and heavy loads. Classic young-timer status. As a young-timer, vehicles between 20 to 40 years old, the 1978 to 1979 Ford F-150 bridges the gap between modern trucks and classic vintage vehicles. It appeals to both seasoned collectors and younger enthusiasts who are drawn to its retro styling, but appreciate that it's still practical for modern use. These trucks represent an era before complex electronics and emissions controls, making them simpler to restore and modify, which adds to their allure. Customizability. One of the key attractions of the 1978 to 1979 F-150 is its versatility and ease of customization. These trucks serve as blank slates for enthusiasts who want to personalize their vehicles. Whether restoring to factory specs or building a custom off-road rig, the F-150 offers numerous possibilities. The aftermarket support for these models is strong, with plenty of parts available for restoration, performance upgrades, or aesthetic modifications. Collectors love that they can tailor their trucks to their personal preferences, whether it's for off-roading, shows, or cruising. Watch as the long wheelbase and low center of gravity come into play, giving this RC truck incredible stability and articulation over obstacles. This build was designed to handle anything, and as you can see, it performs exceptionally well. The Ford F-150 models, produced between 1978 and 1979, hold a special place in the hearts of collectors and enthusiasts, both as a vintage collectible and as a young timer. The enthusiasm for these models stems from a combination of historical significance, iconic design, durability, and their role in shaping the truck market. The F-150 of this era embodies a sense of Americana and nostalgia that resonates deeply with collectors. It represents a time when trucks began to shift into the mainstream of American culture, becoming a symbol of hard work, freedom, and adventure. Owning one of these trucks connects enthusiasts to this heritage, and for many, it reminds them of their own experiences growing up around these vehicles or seeing them in action on farms, construction sites, or rural roads. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed what you saw and want to stay updated with all our upcoming content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and ring the notification bell. This way, you'll be the first to know when we drop new videos. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to share more exciting content with you. So, subscribe, like, and ring that bell. See you in the next one.